Hi, and welcome to another episode of Wine and Wisdom. I'm Thomas Le Hoang, and you're listening to the TL podcast, where knowledge is shared and no one takes themselves too seriously.
You're having such a good run, mate. That was
awesome.
I think we had 4 weeks in a row where we were all right.
Smooth sailing.
Beautiful.
To get everyone on my side before we even start, Danola's just said that Guns N' Roses isn't a real rock band. So
No, I actually don't agree with that. That was a shit stir. I actually like the music. So, yeah.
The greatest ever, all time. All time.
Better than Nirvana?
Hang on, who's your all-time favourite, Danola?
My all-time favourite?
Question without notice. Lou and Thomas, you got about 10 seconds to think because
Okay.
Danola will pick 10 bands.
Queen and Prince. That's it.
Oh, there's a fence. There's a fence.
How to pick one?
You
Queen.
can't even pick a rock band. Oh,
Queen.
Queen.
Yeah.
Queen.
Oh, look, I'm going to say Fleetwood Mac.
Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah. It's
How old are you?
probably not as old as I should be if I like them, but I grew up with it, so.
Thomas.
I don't have a favorite band, man.
Come on, man. You
Dennis
don't have a
Russo.
favorite musician.
They're French musicians, so that you wouldn't know.
That's all right. Who are they? We'll look them up.
I actually received a book when my niece came over here. Jean-Jacques Goldman is my favorite.
Oh, he's my favorite too, Jojo Goldman.
Yeah.
Oh, dear boy. I can sing a song.
Softies. Jesus. It's really good.
Oh God! All right. What are we doing? What's good this week?
What's good? Let's change it up. Instead of doing the news first, let's do wine first because I've got to blow up.
Yeah.
Blow up.
Massive blow up.
What's the blow up about?
Oh, I think the system's broken, people. I think we got to a point where we're buying wines we don't even like just for this competition. Like, I don't want to. It's bad enough. I don't like talking to you people. It's bad enough that I don't like talking to you. Now I've got to sit here and drink a wine I don't even like just for ratings. I could.
I probably agree with you. However, for the moment, that's the rules, so we have to play by those rules. We can make new rules on the new competition. Right now, it's the rules, man. And
Oh no, it's the rules. I'm just saying we've got 2 weeks left, and then I think we need to reassess where we're what
No,
we're
at
doing
least
with
it's-
our lives. Because I've got
At least it's not as bad as me, mate. You get there, drink wine you don't like. I've got to drink garage wine. All right, so shut up and just.
yeah. You're the one who broke the system, mate. You with your ordering from Vivino, and now you got bloody.
Listen,
Lou doing it.
don't hate the player, hate the game.
No, it's ruined it.
Are we not
I've
allowed
got
to from Vivino?
no, we never
Yeah.
said that. I tried to cancel it, but in a conversation 2 weeks ago, I was told that no, that was not the rules. Therefore, we must continue, and I think
It's all right for us. I spent 40 minutes in a bottle shop taking photos of bottles to find something I didn't like that was the highest rating, and you blokes have just gone on Vivino and gone, oh, what?
No, I don't do all of mine in Vivino. I think in this competition, one is from Vivino. The other three I've done from the shops.
Part of the fun was actually going to the shop and trying to find something.
However, I had to time as well, like when to show the bottle. Otherwise, I knew I was gonna be done. And
The strategy's all right. I don't mind the strategy of it, but part of the fun. And
so the
part
first two I had were not from Vivino. This one I have is from Vivino, and the next
Yeah,
one I
you
have
found
is
it.
not from Vivino.
No, mate, I actually wasn't including you in it, TL, for a change.
Hey,
But
hey, listen.
I think the other two.
At this
are
point in time here, I think that from having a look at a few things, it looks like if everything goes fine this week, Chris and I are out of the woods. Really, the competition is going to be between you and Louise. So I understand your outburst, Cam. I wish that outburst happened on week one, not on week
I
three.
just
when
wish,
we're about
mate,
to lose.
if I'm going to go down, I'd like. If I'm going to go down, I'd like to
Go
go
down
down
high.
drinking on. I'd like to go down drunk on something I actually enjoy. Like,
Well, listen, we can make
Yeah.
new rules. I actually, if we can, I was thinking of getting maybe a sommelier to really drink the 4 bottles that we have.
Well, that fucks you,
And then-
Chris. You're
And
the
then
one.
that sommelier will decide. I thought it may be a good way, because no matter what you do, it's going to be the same thing. you
Mate,
know?
I've hired the owner of a bottle shop now.
That's also cheating.
Not only does it cost me
Instead of
$100
instead
for
of
the bottle,
working,
Yeah,
instead
but
of you
whatever.
looking for it, he's got a specialist who's just like getting the best wine and give it to him. Yeah, that's cool. That's a nice way.
because
man.
he's seen how disgraceful the judging is on this piece. Cam, I'm holding a good fight. I can see you're a man of
Anyway,
values
what do
and
you
a man
got,
of
Cam?
ethics. And,
What's this wine you're not liking that you're about to present?
oh, look, no. So listen, Asterix, probably a great winery. I'm not bagging the wine as such. It's just not my go. I don't like Cab Sav. Okay, it's not
Okay.
my dig. I don't like it, but rate it highly. This is a Rockford Rifle Range 2018 Cab Sav from the Barossa Valley. It's from the Barossa Valley. We know it's going to be nice in air quotes. I just don't think, if I'm going to drink red, it's like Shiraz is borderline, and then I'm Pinot Noir. And he's forcing me to buy this crap. Not crap because of the winemaker, just crap because of my personal taste. All right, I don't want to lose any sponsorship dollars over this, but that's what it's got to the point.
Fair
Oh,
enough.
seriously, I can show you my phone. The bloke ended up, he either needed to help me or evict me, because I thought, oh, I've got an hour to get my wine in. I've got an hour left to get my wine in. I'll shit it in. And when I left, I only had 10 minutes left to get my wine in, because I've been there for that long trying to find something.
Yeah, the dedication's there. I'll give you that.
I tried to get $120 bottle of wine for $100, which would have blown you absolutely out of the ballpark. But clearly my negotiations skills aren't good enough. But thanks to Reese Rude yesterday, I'll now ask more questions instead of telling the bloke. We might get somewhere. But I don't have a special story for it. It's called Rifle Range. After I taste it, I'll probably want to shoot myself. So it's very apt. And who's next?
Louise?
Okay, so I have from Cottage. It's a New Zealand wine. It's called Moonlight Race 2017 Pinot Noir. So like you, Cam, I tried to do a lot of research. I spent an hour in Dan Murphy's on this one, back and forth, back and forth. It rated pretty high for what I could see and what I could find. And then at that point, I had no more time left. So it was this or nothing. So
you were lying yesterday when you said you sent in a shit wine and the other wine didn't turn up. I'm just asking.
when I said what?
Yesterday when you said I had to put in a shit wine because the one I ordered didn't turn up in time.
I said I didn't say shit wine. I said I had to put in a wine because I'm
pretty sure you said shit. I'm pretty sure that was your exact word.
I don't think I said shit because I don't expect this to be shit. But I said I had to put in a wine that I wasn't anticipating putting in because my one that I'd ordered didn't turn up. So
Past midday, April Fool's is over. I reckon you're full of it.
true story. True story. But anyway, I haven't had it before. Like you, that's not your flavor. This is probably not mine, but for me it was.
Oh, you can't go past a good Pinot Noir, and if you're going to get one, it's got to be from New Zealand or Tasmania.
So maybe I lucked my way through this week.
Oh yeah, I lucked my way into it.
It's very rare to get a Pinot that's above
All right,
4.
Chris.
So,
Well,
I've got a Calcannia South Australian wine.
why do you just laugh? Like
I don't know why TL's laughing on this one, but
Oh, keep going.
no, why are you laughing, TL?
Let it go.
Okay, it's from the Clare Valley, and it's the vineyard where it's grown. The road, it runs along a road called Calcannia, and it comes from the Burn vineyard in the Clare Valley.
Burn vineyard.
What have you?
And
That's what it's called.
what's the grape?
A Shiraz. It's a 2018 Shiraz.
What's the brand?
Calcannia.
Oh, that's why he was laughing, because he can't pronounce the word, I reckon.
No, I'm laughing because my wine this week is Calcannia.
That's hilarious.
These pricks have been sharing. Well, they reckon they're safe, so they're just sharing.
So what happens now?
But mine is a Sangiovese rather than a Shiraz.
Okay.
But it's actually not exactly the same as Chris because it's actually further up along the road. The
On the
vineyard
scale?
Yeah. That's the second letterbox. Chris, can I just ask, mate, and I'm going to get crucified for this, but I notice you're wearing an undershirt. Do you not think you're round enough, mate? You got to put more shirts on to add to the.
Oh,
It's actually a t-shirt. It's a t-shirt, and I've got a polo on top because the bloody house is cold, and I didn't want to wear a bloody jacket, so I thought I'd
Mate,
just wear
you've got
t-shirt.
enough winter insulation for all of us. You should be fine.
Yeah, sorry, Slim. Keep talking.
is it actually that
3
cold?
times this week. Hey,
Is it cold down there at the moment?
Yeah, today it is.
it doesn't mean brilliant weather.
Yeah.
Shit.
All right.
Cheers,
Wind the
guys.
buckles on. Cheers.
Yes.
Jesus
Yes.
Christ.
Oh yeah, it's a Calcannia, all right, Chris. What about yours? Is it a
Absolutely. Mine's definitely on the south side of that fence. Absolutely.
I just don't reckon there's anything wrong with our system at all.
I reckon this is actually a pretty good job, I have to say. I don't usually like, but oh,
Calcannia? Looks
Yeah,
like
I think there's a
4.7
stitch-
coming up.
There's a stitch up on. There's a huge
there is no stitch up.
No, mate, there's no underhandedness, mate. I tell you.
stitch up.
I'll take.
I will say, no, I know, Chris, you know how I know there might be a stitch up on, mate, because I know you reminded me 67 times this week to get my wine in. I'm greatly appreciated, but I also know that you don't play favourites, mate, because you're a fence sitter. So you probably said the same thing to everybody and helped them.
All right. I ask anyone else, did I text anyone to remind them to get their
No,
wines
but
in?
you've been trying to teach Lou for 3 weeks how to offer it all online.
No,
You texted me.
I text you to keep Can busy so he forgets again.
No,
All
and
right, what's the good news today? Any good news? Anything that we know?
Can I just
Oh,
say,
good
did
news.
anyone watch Warning's Memorial?
I did. I really did. Yeah.
I cried for 2.5 hours.
Me too, Ken. Me too.
I needed to cry, and then I looked at my wife, and she was hysterical, bawling her eyes out.
Yeah. It was so beautiful. These children were impressive. I admired their strength to stand up there and say the things that they did was incredible.
1 billion people watched that.
You're kidding. They did say that it might have been the biggest televised thing in the century.
1 billion for an Australian cricketer. They
That's
had the United Nations there. He was on the board of an environmental group for the United Nations.
Yeah, yeah. He was an incredible human
Unbelievable.
being. I think what touched me as well is his involvement in so many charities and what he did for the children, like the disabled children and children everywhere, I suppose, but even nature. And what was the conservation thing that he was
I
doing?
don't know. He saved a whale, but anyway, it don't matter. It don't matter what. But the reach, like we all over here, we're all like, oh, our greatest ever cricketer's dead, and especially for the sporting people among us, it was a huge thing. But then you sit through that and realise this bloke reached like 1 billion people watch. Can you even put that into?
Isn't there only like 7 billion people in the
Context.
world? Isn't there only 7 billion people in the world? So, I
And a
mean,
few people have said, as famous as he was here and popular as he was in Australia, how popular he was in India and Sri Lanka blows us out of the
He
water.
was a god. He was a god. They had to get security like a rock star. It was crazy.
mm,
And then you see, I mean, life's not fair. I don't know, Thomas will be able to tell us the book that started like that, but you just see a bloke like that gone at 52 and realise now what he was actually doing in the world, and you think, fuck, why did you take him? Like
yeah.
there's plenty of other people doing less in the world that you could have had a go at, and
Yeah.
crazy.
Yes, it shows the impact that he's had on so many people, and what not just what he's done for cricket in itself, but what he's done for that many people in the world. And it's funny, because I woke up at 2 o'clock that morning, and there was a talkback thing on the radio actually, and I was just listening to it, and some fellow rang up and was talking about how he had Asperger's or some kind of disability. He met him when he was younger, and he ran into him something like 15 years later, and Warnie still recognized him from a kid to an adult, and gave him the time of day and sat and had a chat with him. And that was just the kind of fellow that he was. It's just, you don't generally get that with celebrities, it's Yeah, he was just a
No, he's Will Smith wishes he could tie Shane Warne's shoelaces, I reckon, for the actual person he is, for the show that idiot put on. If you want to talk about news or lack thereof, what a carry on. Oh, I laughed at a joke about my wife, but now I'm going to slap a bloke for it.
Yeah. I'll resort to anger, yeah.
I spoke to Thomas earlier. He applauded him and said, I would have done the same thing. I reckon Chris Rock would punch the shit out of you, TL, just quietly. If you'd seen any of Chris Rock's movie, his famous fine line, you got knocked the fuck out.
Oh, well.
I know it's not very serious, but what do we think of that debacle?
You know what? I think they were both in the wrong. But by the same token, Will Smith's wife has been fighting. Thomas is laughing because I'm on the fence.
Not because I know that both are wrong. Coming from you, both are always wrong.
But I think, look, Will Smith's wife has been fighting, but she's got alopecia, right? And she's been struggling with it for a long time. So we don't know the backstory behind the scenes, how hard that affects her real life. And for a woman, I mean, Cam, you be able to tell us how hard it hits a woman with I'm trying to.
Well, yeah.
Careful, buddy. Careful, buddy. I'll slap you. Here's the thing, but it's the Oscars, right? And every year they make fun of everybody. And I can guarantee you,
you make fun of someone, but to make fun of someone about
they do it every year. They do it every year. Rebel Wilson,
but not on things like where you can't. It's like picking on someone who's got,
Rebel Wilson gets crucified every time she does it, and yet they still hire her. Right? Now, I reckon if you went back through the videotapes, Will Smith has laughed at every other joke that anyone's ever made about anyone else's wife ever. And he even laughed at the joke made about of his own wife until
his
wife gave him the wife gave him the look. Right? Now, I don't think it's right that they get up there and make personal jokes about people, or right or wrong, but you got to put that shit into context. That's what they do. That's what the host of the Oscars is famous for. Ricky Gervais, everybody, right? So and then to get up, they're actors, right? So it's okay, but to get up on stage and accept your award and then put together some fucking story how you've just played an actor who had to protect his family, and now you've realised in life that family is all you've got to protect, and I'm so proud I got to protect all these women because all these women are so helpless. Jada Pinkett probably kicked the shit out of Will Smith, I'd reckon, right?
Yeah, but I think the thing is though, like it is a disease. I think it's defined as what she has, and I guess it's like almost, it's not as extreme as making a joke of somebody with cancer, but it's pretty well, and as Chris was saying, for a woman, her hair is part of what forms her beauty, I suppose, and I guess you put yourself, imagine you in a room, Cam, and someone said something about Crystal, if Crystal had a health disorder or a disease. What happened with Will Smith is he went under the influence of his emotion, and his emotions took hold, and that drove his action. And look, you can't say that you probably wouldn't have done the same thing, because in the moment you laugh and then the emotion hits you and you're like, no, that was wrong. I guess. Yeah. You can't, here's the way I see it. He did the wrong thing. I'm not necessarily saying Chris Rock did the wrong thing. He could have made a joke about something else. But I think he did apologize, and I guess that speaks probably more of Will Smith, his action after what he did, as opposed to, had he not apologized.
I think you made a very good point, and also you really showed us that Cam's got no idea, because Ricky Gervais never hosted an Oscar event.
He's Googled that. Google, Dr. Google.
All he's never done. No, because when you said no, because I know he's done Golden Globes. He's done.
It was one of them. They're actors, aren't they?
But Oscars, no. And so I had to fact check you. So you're coming up with crap. Number two,
Kevin Hart got barred from the Oscars.
You made a very good point. I reckon your point is really unbeatable. It's okay to make fun of people. maybe sometimes it's okay to make fun of their wife. And maybe if we don't stop at one day, we're gonna make fun of the kids. But I think that if there's a disease or illness, I think that the day that will come where we'll make fun of someone's kid because he's got leukemia and he's got issue, and we have still half of the population saying now that was just a joke. I think it's telling us where society is going to. It's maybe
I didn't say it was just a joke. I didn't say it was right.
there's a time when we need to know when to quit. And I think that, there's a time when we have to stop some of this stuff. I think Will Smith only hit him like on the bottom of the chin. He should have given him a real one, because I think that the other guy would have rocked.
It's all fake.
Yeah,
I actually reckon it was fake. So
I thought it was fake too. I think it's fake.
I don't think it
initially
actually
I thought it was a show. Initially, I thought they'd set it up as a show, a bit of a
I
show.
think it still is, mate. There's only one camera angle that's directly behind. You can't see him hitting on
The way Will Smith responded when he was talking to him straight after it happened, that was anger.
He's
mate.
an actor. He just won Best Actor. He's just won Best Actor. You don't reckon you can say, keep my wife's name out your mouth? I just won Best Actor. Oh, yeah.
No, but they did say this morning, guys, funny enough, Chris Rock had all these comedy shows scheduled. And today or yesterday they sold out. Full capacity, months ahead, sold out.
Will Smith's taken 20%. You can guarantee it. Guarantee it.
Harder, not harder. Is that what we're talking about
Which
here?
makes it worse. You can't condone violence, Lou. I believe what you just did there was condone violence, and I think you're very wrong.
Yeah, if someone badmouthed your wife in a pub, would you lay him out?
Well, mate, I went through, you want to be fair, didn't you, mate? I went through something 12 months ago where a couple of people sat in a pub and badmouthed my wife for 2 hours. I didn't touch any of them.
No, I know we haven't even started our subject, but here it is, Cam. Violence does not always have to be physical. I think that Chris, by doing what he's done to someone's wife who's got an illness, that is another form of violence.
I don't think it's right.
I'm sorry, that is a wrong.
I don't think it's right. But I think
to me, it is a form of violence.
I think the Fresh Prince only defended his wife's honour for show, mate. That's what I know. Listen, we'll plead the fifth, but I know exactly what would happen with us.
There's a possibility that he did it.
I know exactly what would happen if us three blokes were in a room and someone was disrespecting our wife like that. I know.
What would Chris do?
I know exactly what would happen.
When I reset.
He'd ask Rita.
So Rita, get him.
He'd ask Rita, what should I do? Right? And Rita, probably right. Rita would have throat punched him. Chris.
Yeah. No, but I think,
I think it's a bit rich. I think he's chosen now, and I think it's just all a bit funny. And then I think it's funny the debate that's been started. If it's real and he hasn't been arrested, that makes a mockery of it. I read an article just before we come on, actually, said that the police were there and they said they were ready to take him if the academy ordered it. Like, you've just seen a bloke allegedly King hit someone on TV and they need permission to go and arrest him. What a crap.
Wasn't the person that was assaulted need to press charges or something?
We need to move on. We're too long on that subject. But before we even move on, I just want to tell you, I just got the results of the wine, and Louise won this week. So let's move on and try and see whether
let's never mention it again.
Our mind just take it. All right. So what is the subject for this week, boys and girls?
It was to quit or not to quit. That is the question. And when is quitting not quitting? I wish some people had quit this podcast.
Honestly, if Thomas has been for real and I have one, Cam, I kid you not, and I promise, I swear on my...
I don't believe a word you say, Will Smith.
Wilson.
Whether you believe me or not, it doesn't actually matter to me, to be honest, but that's the truth, and I'm speaking it, and so you take it or
my truth. They say that on Survivor all the time, just before they vote the person off that they said they weren't going to vote for, you know.
No, that was the block when that lady lied. She goes, my truth of the story is, get stuff.
So to quit or not to quit, right? And we talked about Warney earlier and the effect he had on people, and we all live vicariously through sports people. And last week or the week before last week, we spoke about Ash Barty and how a lot of people, I can't believe she quit. I can't believe she did that. And I actually said that I think a lot of it was selfishness because we live vicariously through sports people who wanted the Barty party to keep going on. But to me, she's probably the perfect example of she didn't quit anything. She'd done everything. She didn't quit before she'd climbed the mountain. She didn't get 2 steps from the top and turn around and go back. She'd reached the top. She'd done everything she wanted to do, and she chose to move on. And the selfish among us will go, oh, well, she quit. And the selfish among us will look back to when she quit last time because she was having mental health issues and say, oh, well, she's quit again. You don't get to the number one in 20th. You don't get to be the number one person in 20th and be a quitter, mate. You can't do it. So it was an interesting topic, and I think we can talk a lot about it. It's very hard. It's not like the last couple of weeks we've had 2 for something, or last week it was 3 of us against Thomas. This isn't a yes/no answer, right? Well, actually, there is no question, essentially. So it's going to be a discussion, and hard to. It's going to be very case dependent, right? So
first of all, to start, I think the way that we did our question is very simple: is that it's okay to quit.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not about a matter of never quit. I think it's okay to quit. There is a stage when we quit, and there is a stage when quitting is too early. I think that is the debate that we're having today. Is it correct?
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's the interpretation that I took of it as well.
So
when's it okay to quit, TL?
On week 3 of the wine competition, or should he continue? Because even with his mate who owns a cellar, and who actually is now looking for bottles for him and buy those bottles so that he can win 1 week.
Just be careful what you say there, TL, because you know for a fact I said if he finds us cases, we'll get them for all of us. So just be careful, right? Just be careful. He's looking for wine for all of us.
So
when's it okay to quit, TL? I want TL first this time. He usually sits there and watches us speak and then goes last.
All right. It's very, very good. I think that it depends on the area of your life. It's good that you asked me to go first, because I was just thinking, if it is about work, it's very different to when it is about relationship. It's again very different if it is about quitting on yourself, or quitting on investments you make, or even last to me, quitting on life. You know, when you go and see someone who's dying, when is it okay to just recommend? And we've done a subject in one of our podcasts to say it's okay to say goodbye to them now. So I think it really depends on the area of our life that we're talking about.
yeah.
So let's probably start first with the aspect of quitting that our people need to really listen to, which is about work, the job. For me, as long as you are making a step forward, it's never a time to quit in a job. And I keep on saying this to a lot of people. I have a philosophy of never quitting in life when you're working, because I truly believe that as you persevere, there are doors that will open to you. And those doors would not have opened unless you persevered. And so I think that in the aspects of a job, there's only some reasons when I believe it's okay to quit. If you are hanging around bad management, if your boss is bad, it's okay to quit. If you are working in an environment where there's no system, meaning if I was to drive a car in a country where they go left, right, and there's 6 people in a motorbike and a whole lot, I'm not driving. It's right. So I think when there's no system and when the people you're around are bad, I think it's okay to quit when it comes to work, but you never quit on yourself. So if you're doing something that's wrong, you're doing it 10,000 times wrong, maybe you're doing 10,000 times the same way you've done before. Then be smart and make one change, but don't quit.
Right. So now grey area, murky area. Where does happiness come into that, Theo? Because a lot of people, are confused.
That's a different subject now. So
No, but a lot of people will confuse. A lot of people will confuse. I'm not happy at work. I'm not happy. This isn't what I want to do in life. With the fact that you've got a bad boss or bad management or bad leaders. So where?
Well, all right. Okay.
Sorry, man. I'll just.
All right. Okay. I think that happiness comes whether you win or lose by doing your best, and that is to me something I've seen in. Maybe I've been around a little bit long now, but I find that as long as you persevere and fight, happiness is there. There is nothing worse. I tell my kids all the time, the twins, I tell them, I don't care that you come home first. If you answer this question by telling yourself, I did not do my best, being first will make you feel dreadful. All right? And nothing worse than that position, but being second and not doing your best.
Yeah.
I think that we need to really understand this. We have to give it our best. Happiness is a mindset thing, and it comes with us giving it everything we have.
Yeah.
Chris?
At work, much the same lines of Thomas. I add, yeah, but no, well, if your values aren't in line with who you're working with, I mean, and sometimes you might start at a place that you find out quite quickly and it can't change or won't change, then it's okay to quit. Someone once told me it's okay to quit when you're on top, but don't quit when you're struggling, when things are hard. It's time to dig in and try harder.
That's
So
what I was
it's
going to
not
ask. You've done 5 years, you're Ash Barty, you're top of your game. Is it okay to quit then in work?
Yeah, I think so. I think if it's okay, if you want a career change, if you're the best real estate agent, best tennis player, best neurosurgeon, whatever it may be, and you want to challenge yourself to something else, absolutely. Is your value a little bit of variety or adventure? You might want to go and do whatever. That may be one of your values that are strong in your priority. So there's a lot of different reasons. And
one of the things your head against the wall, right? The opposite then. You've in real estate, we know what starting from the bottom is like. So you bashed your head against the wall for 6 months. You've knocked on 10,000 doors. You've had 10,000 no's. You haven't got a result. Is it okay to quit?
But then, no, it's not. And there's a couple of reasons there. A couple of things though. If you've been recruited wrong and you're in the wrong position to start with, because let's admit, some people just aren't salespeople. Some people are better off, being an accountant or whatever it may be. Some people just aren't salespeople. They don't have the gift of that gab. They can't connect with people quickly and so forth. They can't dance on the spot. So I think some people may think they can do something and then realize in a short period of time after that repetitive failure that, yeah, maybe they need to quit. But I think there are a lot of people out there that can make it, but quit too early.
That's 100%. I'm just trying to define some lines when it's okay and when it's not okay for now, because the grey area on this is huge.
It's huge.
No. There's no grey area, Cameron. As long as you're moving forward could be there's an improvement in the results. Moving forward could be I found a lesson. I found a way to do it better. Then you should never quit.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is about work. You
Louise.
Should never quit.
Louise, I'll give you 32 minutes. Go.
Thank you.
Words. He meant words.
I'm moderating this conversation. We're doing well so far.
Okay. Well, look, I think there's a difference here, and I think a lot of people misinterpret quitting with giving up, because I think they're two different things. I think giving up is what we do when we know in ourselves we can do better, but we choose not to. I think quitting is when we're doing something, but we know in ourselves it's not worth continuing to do. And for work, I think, like Thomas said, progress is progress, whether it's one step forward, as long as you're not going backwards and you're applying everything you can, but and moving forward. I think, but if you get to the point where you feel like what you're doing is not aligned with your values and you feel like you're learning coping mechanisms as opposed to skills, I think there's a big difference there. And I think actually getting to the point where if you know you're not aligned doing with what you feel you should be doing, it's not actually giving up. I think it actually takes courage at that point to say, I'm gonna stop this and I'm gonna choose something else. So I think there's a big difference.
If only the question for the podcast was what's the difference between quitting and giving up, you'd be onto something. But
So are you saying your values, so you say if your values are challenged, Lou? Are you saying if you go into a workplace and you realise?
What I'm saying is I'm sort of, if there's people out there listening, a lot of people hear quitting is they assume quitting is the same as giving up. And I don't think that that's right. I think people need to understand from my point of view that they're two different things, because there's a lot of things that we give up. How many times have you started the gym and given up at the gym because you
That's
just
quitting
can't
the
be
gym.
bothered?
I think it's splitting
That's
hairs.
not,
I think once you stop, you stop. So whether we call it quit or giving up,
okay, but I think it's okay to quit at anything if you feel at some point that you're not moving in the forward direction of what you want and your values and everything else. You know, if you get to a point in life at anything, and that can be a relationship, that can be a job, that can be, you know, a career, anything. I think it's okay to get to a point where you go, this isn't what feels right to me and what I should be doing. I think you know, you can look at people that start a certain career in a field, and let's use medicine, or let's use, you know, being a teacher or anything. And then they start that process and go, well, hang on, this isn't aligned with what I feel I can really bring out the best in myself and other people. And unfortunately, society looks at those, and giving up or quitting is, you know, it's ingrained in us to never give up, never quit, because it's a negative thing. But I think that's wrong. I think if it takes courage to actually step away from something if you're not aligned with it and say, I'm not going to do that anymore.
there was, the road you're going down is sort of, I don't think we're qualified, and I mean each individual, everyone listening almost, to decide when it's time to quit. Because how many people have we seen? I've seen people quit my office when they were a week short of getting paid $30,000.
Of course, but when you say
but you're saying if these people feel it's time to quit, I don't think the personal feeling almost should come into it. And this is where association should come into it, because you might not feel like you're moving forward, but someone else has seen you come ahead in leaps and bounds. By Thomas's definition, if you're still moving forward, you shouldn't quit. Sometimes we're not the best judge of whether we're moving forward or not, and you just need someone to give you that tip. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, we use salespeople as an example, and we've spoken in the last couple of weeks. We all know someone who can't sell, and they're never going to be a salesperson, regardless of how hard they try.
Yeah.
The same association is just as important to say, maybe this isn't for you, so they don't bash their head against the wall for the next 12 months unnecessarily, and can move their talents in a different direction. But I think I'm from a school where you keep going until someone tells you, or multiple people you respect, because you'll always have people tell you you should quit that aren't worth the time of day, right? But if your association's on point, I'm of the school where you keep going until someone who you know and trust and can prove it says maybe it's time. I don't think we got the ability in ourselves to judge when it's the right time to quit, because it might be 6 o'clock. My alarm went off at 5 o'clock this morning to go to the gym, and I hit snooze and went, fuck it, I'm not going. And then at 5:30 I woke up and went, don't be a bitch, you're going, and got out of bed and went. But it would have been just as easy to lie in bed. Not everyone has that in them, right? So
but when you say we're not qualified, are you talking as us telling someone else when it's time, or are you talking about
no, I'm talking about each individual. I don't think, if you're having a bad day at work, that's a bad time for you to make a decision whether you should quit or not. I don't think, because we're all run by our emotions, right? And Thomas can speak more to this than me, so I won't pretend I know what I'm talking about. But because it's so easy for our emotions to hijack us, I don't think we as individuals, not the people on this podcast, I mean anyone, is actually qualified enough to go, I should quit or shouldn't quit. Now, in a bad, and when I'm using this in a work sense and in a negative sense, I'm not talking about Ash Barty who's just climbed the top of the world. I'm talking about, Thomas wanted to use work as the first example. Okay.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to get to the bottom of is, are you saying that someone comes to you today and says, Cam, I don't think I'm cut out for this, I'm quitting. Are you saying that that person is not qualified, or you're not qualified to give
No,
them?
that person isn't qualified.
So what if somebody comes to you and says, I've tried this and I thought it was for me, and I actually feel within my heart this is not where I can apply myself to the best of my ability, and I don't think this is the right path for me. Are you going to try and convince somebody to stay?
Depends who it is, and depends whether they've been moving forward.
If they're not qualified, or you're not, if they're not qualified, who the hell is? It's their life.
Yeah, but so in our instance, in a real estate office, if they've only been working for 3 months and they don't know what it takes, they're not where we are, they don't have our experience to sit there and go, look, I've been through that, I've been where you are. What I can tell you is, here's what you're destined for, and here's what you're doing. I've got people now who should be in sales who won't go into sales for their own self-belief, right? They'll quit before they go into sales, even though they could be millionaires if they did it, right?
Yeah.
So in that instance, they're not qualified in themselves to quit before they do it. I don't. If someone comes to me and says, look, I don't think this is for me, I had that, and I had to pay the bloke the next week $30,000 if he stayed 1 week. But someone else had got in his ear and said, I don't think you're happy, I think you should quit. People aren't, in that instance, people get pushed to the brink all the time, right? Every person who's made it to the top tells you the story of when they're pushed to the absolute.
Yeah, but sometimes you believe your mom and you think that your mom's going to tell you the truth, and it is not the case.
No, I get that.
So we're talking about something else, and what you're talking about is now association. Your resilience or your ability to stick to something depends on who you hang around. You hang around guys, and this is what I saw in that movie, Good Will Hunting, which is a great movie. I think there's so many lessons. If you have great mates, they'll say to you what's right. They'll tell you how lucky you are to have the opportunity they don't have. You hang around losers who want you to be at the bar with them on a Sunday because nobody else around them, and drowning their sorrow at the bar is the best thing that they can do because they feel so bad about themselves. So they just want the crowd. They just want you to be part of it so that you can now make the crowd. Well, then you're going to get, I can predict what you're going to get.
So to steal a line from Louise, that's exactly what I was 100% saying, Thomas. I meant that when you first get that urge to quit because things are too tough, you can't make that decision then and there, because you've got to look at who's helping you make that decision, and I don't think we're qualified.
Yeah, and that's where I'm saying I think there's a difference between quitting and giving up as well.
I personally, Lou, this is the first time I'm going to go against you here now, but I don't see the line between quitting and giving up.
What do you mean you don't see the line?
No difference.
To me, it's just exactly
Pretty clear, it's the same thing.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
Stop doing something, you stop doing it.
Can I ask this? Can I ask this, and Lou? And I don't know enough about your past but I know each of us guys have had careers before the ones we're in now, right? And we got to a point in that career that we were doing that goes, enough of this, I've got to change. Was there an actual thing you can remember to say, I've got to do something else, or was there a reason? Can you remember the thought process behind it? Because for me, it was a physical thing. I couldn't physically do the job that I was doing for another 20 years, 30 years. I was in the construction industry. It was a very physical job. I couldn't physically do that. I loved the job. I loved doing it. I was very good at it, but I couldn't physically keep doing it. So I had to find something else, and real estate was it. And fortunately enough for me.
And I couldn't feed my family, so that wasn't a quit. That was a
sorry,
quit.
Cam. Sorry, I did miss that, mate.
I couldn't get a $10 SIM card from Optus, so it wasn't a quit. It was a
forced decision.
What's the best way of doing it, right?
Right. Okay.
Thomas laughed because I'm underprivileged, mate. We're from the Central Coast. I don't know.
I go there again, Cam.
But Cam,
I could write a book. It won't be called The Power of You. It'd be called The Power of Fuck You. That'll be the
you had the gym before that, right? That was when you had the gym. Is that right?
Yes.
Personal trainer. That thing, right?
Yes.
And you also was doing what was it? Cybogenics. What was it?
It's part of the isogenics. Yes.
Right. Okay. But so. Do you feel that you didn't put enough into those, or didn't have the right mentors at those times to help you to achieve, to make the business successful? What I'm getting at is
huge with the gym, easy, huge lack of knowledge, because I see people today who started where I started and found the business acumen to make. I go to a gym today and pay a bloke $40 a week so I can sit there and punch a piece of sponge on a wall, right? So, and I sit there whether he's got 60 people in a class sometimes, which is absolutely ridiculous. I didn't have the business acumen to do that, but that's a lack of skill. But it was also a realization where I've tried 10 years I spent at that, right? It wasn't a 5 year or 5
it was an
minute.
overnight thing. I understand.
The average length of a personal training business, 18 months. I did 10 years. So as much as it taught me lots and lots of things, but the point it got to a point where I can't support the family. I have to support the family. So I found a way of supporting the family, and everything I did previous has helped me do what I've done now. So I didn't quit the gym. I didn't quit working to try and feed my family, right? So I quit doing it in the fitness industry, but I didn't quit.
So here is exactly
quit the gym. You quit the gym.
Yes, I did.
Here is exactly the perfect.
But that was okay then, because it's okay to quit.
Shut up.
No, but this is
the win of the week was speaking.
This is the perfect example where I can explain what I mean. So Cam, now just correct me. You stopped doing the gym because you wanted to provide a better living for your family.
Yes.
Okay. So in this instance, what I'm saying is you gave up on something because you knew you could be better and do something better elsewhere. Is that right?
Yes, I quit the gym. Yes.
What a great spinner. What a great spinner.
You're trying to spin. You're a
What a
salesperson.
great spinner.
Either way. Hey, Lou, either way, no. So if I was going to argue with you, I'd say, if I was going to support your argument, I'd argue with you on this. I never gave up on trying to feed my family. I quit the
I
way
never said that. You guys didn't even let me finish.
You said I gave it. So either way, I'm not doing the gym anymore, right? So quit or give up, it stopped. And that's where I don't think there's a line between quitting and gave up. I could have gone again and again and again and tried to come up with a new way of making the gym work, but I gave up and I quit.
Because you know why? If you let me finish, and all three of you cut me off, if you freaking let me finish, what I was saying is you gave up the gym. Some people would look at you and go, Cam, you quit. You didn't. You gave up because you knew in yourself there was somewhere or something that you could do better that would provide better for you and your family. No,
I got drunk and answered a real estate ad, mate. I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
What I'm saying is the difference between.
I think that Cam quit the gym and gave up on being thin. So he did give up and he did quit.
You make me, Lou, you know what makes me laugh about you? Chris and I said nothing then, and Thomas gave it to you, and you went, all three of you, fucking, because you're that scared to give it to Thomas. Thomas is the one who said he doesn't understand you.
I just said I've got a perfect example to explain, and as soon as I started talking, you all three started talking. So
that's because Thomas lied about a wine. But anyway, so
yeah, it's probably going to come out at the end. I was probably the loser.
Absolutely.
Whatever.
We're going to give up on trying to get you to buy good wine. So Cam, when you were in that business, before that, you had 10 years of it. If you had those, because you said association before, if you had the association to help you with the business acumen and so forth, do you think you might be still in that?
Possibly, depending on what the bank balance was, mate. That's completely
all right. And that's what I was getting at. So possibly, supporting your argument before was,
if I was becoming a millionaire in the fitness industry, there would have been no reason to change to real estate, to change paths, would there?
So you got to surround yourself with the right people, right? So with you, if you're in a business, you need your mentors or your coaches or those people who are going to tell you the truth on how you're traveling through that career.
Yeah, I didn't have anyone to tell me whether to quit or not to quit in that instance. When I said before we're not qualified to make that decision, I'd been told to quit many, many years earlier, and I signed lease after lease on premises when probably shouldn't have. But in my own heart, ego and pride and whatever else, I wasn't going to quit. It took Optus denying me for a $10 fucking a month SIM card for me to go, shit, I'm in trouble. And that's a true story. People might think I'm exaggerating. I got knocked back for a $10 a month SIM card because we're in that much shit. So as much as I'd been begged to listen, let's move on from the gym. Maybe it's not the right thing for us. I didn't.
So, Thomas, we know that like many years ago, you started medicine, right?
Yes.
But then you realized you didn't like blood.
I couldn't stand that. Yes.
It's not like really smart to start with, but you're also in insurance and you went to, you had a career change.
Yeah.
Why?
Because it didn't align with my values.
Uh-huh.
And did you quit or give up?
So I didn't quit. I think that sometimes you make a mistake. And this is the issue with a lot of young people. They get into a lot of things and they have an enormous amount of ideas. And when I went into insurance, I think I went into that the same way I went into real estate, by the way, because I needed to survive. But along the road of trying to survive, I started to hit things that were really clashing against my values. How can I sell someone a product that I know in 10 years, they hardly going to get back whatever they put in? Hold on. If I put money in some kind of stock market or even in real estate, I'll at least double it in 10 years, you know? But how do I? So after, when you wake up to that level, now you're confronting your own values. Now you have to make a decision. And I don't believe that is quitting. Quitting is to me when you really go against your values, and from that point onwards, you espouse different values in order to make it. Yeah. And so I still don't believe I quit. I realized that I was on the wrong path with my purpose. Therefore, I had to find a different vehicle that was going to get me to my vehicle. So it was still not quitting, you know? So that is the bigger picture, if you will. But if I went to a smaller picture and look at, all right, did I walk away from insurance? Yes. Why did I walk away? Well, when you realize that it's not good for you and it's not good for others, well, it's time for you to now have to ask yourself a question. Do I continue or do I walk away? I decide to walk away.
I agree with you on the values thing. When I was thinking about this, when we decide to change our path or move away from certain people or a business, I think it is because values either have misaligned or weren't aligned to start with.
That's right.
And that's the same in a marriage. It's the same in a marriage. It's the same when someone finally realizes they've got a drinking problem, or can't buy a good bottle of wine, or they got to quit smoking. Their values realize, you know what, I'm starting to value the fact that my children, I want to see my children walk down the aisle. I want to live till I'm, as we said before, Warnie, we want to, he died at 52, and a lot of us have got more sunsets behind us than in front of us, so we've got to adjust our journey to those values that we have.
That's exactly right. And what you said there, Chris, look, as you brought up earlier, you guys have had probably several careers. I'm not your age and whatever else, and pretty much real estate's been my thing. But the average person probably has many, many careers and changes a lot throughout life, but they change because of, I think, truly what you guys are saying is values. But what about a relationship? Because some people, and a relationship or a marriage, some people can stay in the same one forever. Some people have lots and they change around a lot. And I think that's an experience where you might be in a relationship or a marriage and you say, look, I'm not in this anymore. I need to get out. And it's for me, it's not there anymore. But how many people then come around you and, no, that's not the right thing. You're giving up. You're throwing, that was an experience that I had. And I think in that instance, I think that's where I'm sort of saying, if it's truly what you believe and what you think, that point takes courage to, and I don't think it's quitting either. I think it's a strength that you have to follow your values or your passions or a path that you feel you're pulled towards, I suppose. I don't know.
That can be
It's hard.
that can be situation dependent, but we know agents who have been at 6 or 7 different real estate offices, right? Still searching for the grass is greener. I reckon they're quitters, right? And I know people have been married 6 or 7 times, and I reckon they're quitters, right? They're like,
I reckon too.
I don't think you put yourself in that bucket, Lou, because people have marriage breakdowns, and there's some stuff that's not savable. But people who've been married 3, 4, 5 times, you got to start thinking, what am I quitting on here? And it's no different and that's real estate or imitates life. We all know people. If you've quit, one thing that happens a lot, maybe that's because a reflection of me, but a lot of the people who quit from us don't stay in real estate. But I've seen people jump from agency to agency every 3 months or every 6 months or whatever. And I think that's different to someone who's decided that the actual industry isn't for them, to someone who's just going to, till they find, whore money off people until they find one who'll make life easy enough for them. I think that's a bit different. And when you talk about relationships, I think it's the same thing. I think if you've been through a marriage or we all know people who break up with their love of their life and they're with someone a week later. I've had mates who just can't be lonely, right? So they've I can't believe she did that to me. And 2 days later, Tinder fixes all, right? Tinder's the best cure. But
you said Timber.
but there's people and there's people, and I said Tinder fixes all, but they're repeating myself now because of the Cab Sav, which I don't really like. But there's people who have 4 or 5 marriages or 3 or 4 marriages, and I think you got a bit of quitter in you. And I think
Ken, can you please stop squeezing your booze? Because the subject is about not quitting rather than everlast. Okay, I get it.
Maybe the sponsor we don't know about.
Yeah, no, sponsors.
All right, so we moved to relationship, right? And here's some of the things I really would like to talk about relationship. I know that Alistair said sometimes quitting is not always a bad thing. Unfortunately, even in relationships, I believe that most people quit too early. I truly believe that when you marry someone, you don't know the damaged good that is coming, right? So when you marry a person, to me, the best way of saying it is you're always getting yourself tied down to some kind of damaged good. The same for them. So the two of you are damaged goods.
Everyone has luggage. Everyone has baggage they bring with their relationship.
If only you can do a pest and building report, right?
Yeah, and the problem is
strata report. What have they got in the sinking fund?
The problem as we grow, sometimes we
change. We change.
Yeah. We both change. But because of circumstances, some people are privy to more knowledge, to more ability to just change, and they change faster. And what happened is that they wake up one day and they go, holy shit, I never wanted to be around you. What the hell is this? And then suddenly there is a aha moment for them. I think it's a sad thing. And this is why when it comes to relationship, I always believe that, the two people should always grow together. Because when you grow together, you fix your vessels together. Instead of seeing one sink, you actually help a person also fix their boat. And yes, I understand if you are in it for 6, 7 times, that means to me that you haven't really fixed your boat. But, if Verdict had to quit on me, oh, Jesus, man, many times she could have done it because mine didn't just need a Band-Aid, it needed a full reconstruction.
So to play devil's advocate, Thomas, because we haven't had an argument for 5 minutes, so let's have one. Yeah. Aren't you you've been a bit pie-eyed there, mate, a bit fucking hoo-ha, a bit perfect world? It's almost impossible to grow at the same rate as somebody, isn't it?
I'm sorry? No, it's not
Listen,
true.
you can grow together, but it's always going to be at different
It's not
speeds.
true,
People
because-
learn differently, grow differently, are ready for lessons at different times.
No, because you see, the way I look at it is this. Vernick's been climbing to the Mount.
Hey, that's what I mean. Veronique's grown much faster than you. So,
No. Vernick is no. Can you just, if you ask a question, you need to listen, man.
okay.
It's
Sorry.
not. It's you're going somewhere I didn't even want to go, and you're just disturbing my thoughts. So Vernick is now about 100 meters from the summit. What she has to climb now is the scree. So when you climbing up the scree, you do 1 meter, it pushes you down 2 meters. So the ascension is slower. I've been climbing from somewhere close to Neptune, mate, down the abyss. So for me, the climbing, as fast as it's going, I still haven't reached base camp. So I still have a long way to go. Whether I'm going fast or not, I'm still a long way from that 100 meters from the scree, from the top. And so the key is,
So when you say grow together,
when you loved a person at the beginning, I truly believe that there is that element where you go, okay, he's somewhere close to Neptune. So, and I love him for this. Let's go with him. And so as you go, you share the growth together. And then you bring each other up. That is, to me, an element of never quit. I think that these days, this is why in my training, I keep on telling the women, please make sure that you just get yourself your own wealth, your own financial freedom, because your men will never look after you, because for them, it's so easy. They just lasted 30 seconds. They created something with you, and they know they can leave at any point in time.
I beat you, mate. It was 22. What you're saying is, even though growing at the same time doesn't mean being at the same level, yes?
No,
I think,
that is correct.
guys, I think it's important here that we need to bring up something that is pretty well a known fact, all right? How many relationships and situations do you hear where, because I'm thinking about the people that are listening, I'm not just thinking about us here, I'm thinking about the people that are listening.
Say it, darling. Say it.
Care about them.
Oh, stop.
They are closet people.
The people who are listening, wishing you were say it faster for them.
No, but listen, I know I talk a lot, but I can't help it. I have a lot to give. So if you can't handle it.
It's okay, Louise. We're going to grow with you.
Thank you.
We will never give up on you.
Good, thank you.
No quit on you.
No. Well, the point I'm trying to say, though, guys, I think it's a very valid one. How many times do you hear in a relationship, and you're laughing, but you will see where I'm going in a moment.
I hope so. In a moment.
How many times do you hear in a relationship, particularly the woman stays around for the kids' sake, okay? And then as soon as the kids leave home, the woman leaves and the man goes, where the fuck did you go? Because she gets to a point where she says, what am I needed for? Who are you? Where are we? Where have you been the last 10 years? I know we've been living in the same house, but I don't know nothing about you anymore. But why does she stay? And I think the thing is, this is the point I'm trying to make. When is it okay to quit? If you want to call that quitting, women stay for the wrong reasons sometimes. And I hear what Thomas is saying, we should always try and make it work. But sometimes it just doesn't work. And it is bloody well okay for somebody in that position to quit.
Yeah, it is.
That's what
We're never going to argue.
No
It's
one
not
said
okay.
it wasn't, mate.
It's okay.
No one said it
It's
wasn't.
okay.
No, but I was listening to what Thomas was saying, and I was hoping that somebody out there in that position wasn't sitting there thinking that it's not okay to not.
But my thought on that.
You've got to,
No,
you've got to get to a point.
let me finish. My mum's best friend was in a marriage. She stayed for the kids, right? The youngest turned 18, moved out of home. 3 weeks later, she had a heart attack and had to, she's alive now, but she had to be brought back to life something like 6 times or something. Because the stress and everything and all the emotion and whatever else that built up over those years hit her in that moment. You know, and I think she stayed because she didn't want to quit. But what would have been the difference in her life and their lives and everybody else's lives if at that point she just stepped up and in courage went, this is not what I want. And I know it's going to hurt, but I need to make this decision.
We said at the start, it's situation dependent. That I'm talking.
No, did we say that? We didn't freaking say
I
that.
did say that. I said, and I excused you, mate, because I know you've been through a separation. I said, people who are getting married 4 or 5 times are quitting. They're not even trying to grow together. They're not even trying to reach back. They're not even trying to save it for their kids. Now, I
think
it's gone into a very touchy subject, so maybe we'll back out of it. But you're saying
no, it's good. We've done it. We've done work. We are now here. We can't back out. All right.
Right. So you're saying women versus men. There's plenty of men that have turned around and said, well, what the fuck happened there? Because they haven't been told for 10 years that their wife was staying with them just for the kids, right? Because communication wasn't involved and the wife didn't try and save it. She was just waiting for the moment the kids turned 18 to go, or vice versa, right? We've got to be
very careful.
No, I know, but you went straight for, well, the wife's doing it for the kids, right? So I'm not saying it's got to be both sides, Luke, because it happens all the time.
I agree, and I'm not
no apology. And there are some situations. I grew up. I won't go there, but the situation I was in.
Why won't we go there?
It depends who's listening, right? But I grew up in a situation where someone.
I grew
up in a situation where someone was hanging around for my sake. And I was part of that household and I saw what was going on and I saw some horrible things happen and I wish.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
I wish someone had quit. I wish someone had quit earlier because there was no saving that, right?
No. I disagree. If you are staying from the wrong reason, then it doesn't matter how long you stay. It will just go to shit. You must first go for the right reason. The same way that I said about quitting work or not quitting work. If it is aligned with your purpose, you stay. You do things, you find ways, right? So if you're in a relationship, every relationship is rocky. You know, as a matter of fact,
levels are rocky though, right?
Sex is actually better after rocky moments. So, so every relationship is rocky.
I pick fights on purpose, brother. On purpose.
I think that I think that if you're staying for the kid, that's the wrong reason. You should stay for the relationship.
Exactly.
The kid
that's what I'm saying, mate.
No. The kid's got too much ego to think that they stayed for the kid. But if they stayed for the kid, then yes, the relationship is doomed. And I agree with that to be doomed. I don't know, Chris, what do you reckon?
Well, when it comes to relationship, guys, I can't speak from experience from broken marriages and so forth. I can't. And I've been very blessed with my parents and my wife's parents as well. But all I can say is this, is the way I think of it is this, even with a relationship, however we fall in love, whether it's the connection or deep love or a convenience, whatever it may be, at that time, I think our values are aligned. And it comes back to what I was saying before. When you're married, your values are aligned. And some people will grow in different ways, like we said, at the top of the mountain, the bottom of the mountain. As long as our values are very similar and we have communication, compromise and care for each other in a relationship, I think that would always continue, especially the communication, because if your values are the same, you're communicating, you're agreeing on the same thing, you might have grown at different rates, but it's still, the core is the same.
So
once that core starts to change. Sorry,
So
mate.
is it
When's it okay to quit, Chris?
exactly my point?
So I think when those values are gone past, if someone's in danger, if someone's violent to each other, and it doesn't have to be a physical violence, it can be, mental or whatever you want to call it. There are a number of reasons to quit, but I don't think you're doing kids any favors by staying.
I quit.
By staying, I think you're potentially doing.
I reckon, Chris, if they do that, they have taken the kids hostage.
Yeah.
Right? If you can't really focus on the relationship and you now using the kids' happiness or unhappiness for the reason for quitting, I think that you're doing making a mistake before you even
Look,
start.
I know of instances, and I won't go into details, where the kids saw violence growing up, and that has scarred them for the rest of their life as adults. They if that person had the strength to leave at that time back then, they're quitting for the right reason.
I quit for that. I quit for the opposite reason. I quit because I didn't want my son to grow up in that sort of environment.
Good.
Right? my eldest boy is 15 now. That's the reason me and his mother broke up, because I woke up one day, I just said, we can't raise a kid in this life, right? But that was, I quit.
But
I personally believe that is quitting.
Yeah, I quit.
But I also believe that that's quitting for the right reason.
No, I don't believe it is the right reason.
Now, if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't
You
have the
quit
life
in
I've
the
got now.
relationship because you can't love that person anymore. You can't quit because the kid can't see it. Because if you can do something about it and fix it, then the kid won't see it.
The stage of life we're at, and the age we were at, and the maturity level we were at, and the things that went along with that, we didn't have the ability. That we didn't have the tool. We didn't have the tool belt. We didn't have the tool belt to change, right?
And so you went and found another mother who's now got 4 kids. I get it, and she's a beautiful soul. We love her to death. But
He wakes up every morning.
What do you say? What do you say? That some men ought to find a woman. Other men need to find another mother. I get it. So it does work.
He wakes up every morning and goes, "I wish you didn't quit."
But I think we
Mate, all power to her. I've put on 40 kilos I emptied a bank account. She never quit. No, one thing Chris Rock will never be able to say about my wife is she's a quitter, mate.
Yeah, no, but I think, guys, I think the point of what we're trying to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm sure you will, is that in instances, whether it be a relationship or work or any field or area, I suppose, if you look at it like that, that it is okay to quit if it's not in line with your values, and if it's not pulling you in the direction of your values or your goals or your path or wherever you know in yourself. I think that's the problem with society, because it's been ingrained in us forever to not quit, because if you quit, you're a loser. If you quit, you're a dickhead. You can't hack it. You're a fake failure. You're this, you're that. I think that's the problem, because I think, like, and I know, Cam, you're shaking your head, but I think you got to look at it from a bigger picture than not just what we're discussing here. A lot of people look at quitting, they're scared to quit because they're scared of what other people are going to think of them and what they've been brought up to believe, that quitting is wrong. I think in some instances, it actually takes a huge amount of courage and strength to quit something that you know is not right for you and your life.
No, I think that's a excuse in a lot of a lot of circumstances. I think the only time it's okay to quit is when you're in a judge, when that part of your body which knows when you're bullshitting, when it tells you you've done everything you can and you've done your best, mate, then it's okay. But most people will never quit with that. Most people quit way before that feeling ever comes over. There's always something else. There's always something else you can do.
But maybe they will, and that's okay. But I think what we need to understand.
I think the opposite, Lou. I think society rewards quitters. I think we're a society full of quitters, mate.
I don't think
we're a society full of them.
I don't think
society full of them, because everyone says it's okay. You got to be happy. As long as you're happy. But the problem is people spend their whole life trying to find the next thing that's going to make them happy. We've made a life full of quitters. Quitters everywhere. Everywhere.
I totally think the opposite.
I think if you're going to quit, it needs to be a considered decision. It can't be a knee-jerk reaction just over one argument. You say, that's it, I'm throwing in the towel, piss off, I'll see you later. I think it's got to be a considered decision. And that decision, if you're got any sort of intelligence, you will consult people that you look up to, whether that association is a good association or a bad association. And I think one of the biggest problems with blokes is when it comes to our relationships, if we're having issues, we don't reach outside our own sort of man cave with a lot of issues.
I don't have a man cave anymore, mate. I'm in
internal cave.
He's got a freaking Mount Everest kind of cave, mate. I've seen the next cave.
It's coming. Mondays do that.
I've seen that cave, mate. No, he doesn't have a man cave. He's got a freaking tribe kind of cave.
Mate.
You don't go in there alone, man. You go in there with the whole country.
You've got a cavern. You've got a cavern, not a cave.
The entire carry-on will soon move into that cave.
I think we got a world full of quitters. TL?
No, I don't believe that we have a world, but I think that everyone has got is living on credit card, and we try to find that happiness on credit card. We in a job, it doesn't give us within 6 months what we after. We have to go. We in a relationship after 3 years, so after lust has gone and it hasn't been replaced by friendship, or it doesn't work out, we gone. And I think that there's a lot of that. We in a relationship where we used to get what we got, and then now we've grown, and so the other person doesn't give us, we gone. There is no. I still believe that there are stoics out there. There are stoics out there who are going to be about. Hold on. What I was in here, it was good. It is still good. I need to find it. We've gone astray, and so there's, I think that, like everything, there's always two sides of the coins, and in our discussion there's two sides too. I'm not saying the people who are getting divorced are bad. I didn't say that. What I'm saying is, whatever we try, is it moving forward to something? Have we tried everything? And I still remember what Anthony Robbins was saying in one of his seminars. A person was saying to him, I've tried everything and it doesn't work. So he goes, well, if you tried everything, tell me everything you tried. Oh, well, I've tried a million things. Okay, well, if you tried a million things, tell me the million things. Well, I tried hundreds of things. Tell me the 100. Well, I've tried a dozen. Tell me the dozen. Well, I actually tried the same thing over and over again. That's right. Why? Because we're too lazy. We most of the time look after our interest, and if it doesn't fit our interest, we do it once, twice, and it's almost like 3 strikes and you're out. No. What if to leave a job, it would cost us $1 million? What if to leave a marriage, we have to give everything that we built to the state? Really, what kind of thinking would we then do?
I like that.
And all I'm saying is, are we really giving it our best before we quit? It's okay to quit if we've done our best.
Yeah.
Which is what I said at the beginning.
Absolutely. I think it was really interesting with what Matt Hutchins said yesterday with his story and, the things that have happened in his life, where it would be pretty, and I think any one of us would have got to a point if we walked in his shoes with what he explained yesterday, where it was being pretty damn easy to quit or give up. But I think the difference with him is he had this purpose that was pulling him, and he had these goals that was pulling him, and he had the biggest why, an emotional reason to just keep going. And I think that's a big difference with some people too. It's easy to quit and it's easy to give up when you don't have a purpose or a reason to keep moving forward. And I think that's part of the problem. It's sometimes people quit for no reason, or they give up for no reason. And I think it's because we don't look towards our purpose or have something to focus on that's more meaningful. I think people get stuck in the mundane and day-to-day living and doing the same old. And it's like what Thomas was just saying. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. And if you don't change, you're just going to keep doing the same thing.
So
One of the biggest things I took from Matt,
is that what you're
one
saying?
of the things I took from Matt yesterday, I'll tell you now, wasn't the fact that he had goals and so forth. The fact that he had the hindsight to realise that the answer was already around him.
Absolutely.
And he needed to get rid of the ego, embrace that answer, and he gave himself 6 months to give everything he could, everything, and take the advice he had been given.
That's right.
And
Chris.
do everything he could to achieve. And he did it in that 6 months. While it took him a few years to get to that realization point, that he actually had the answers, but he just wasn't embracing them.
Because the other thing was, he said several times he had no plan B. He'd exhausted every other option and he had no plan B. And he knew that his way of being and living was what was bringing him down, And that's why I say, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. And
yeah, but you know what, Lou? If he had the right association,
yeah, of course,
he would have
wasted
said, I would have fixed him in less than a few months.
Yeah, of course.
I get that. So that on the
27th
of August, a few days before the Olympics in Sydney happened, that tragic thing happened. But for him to go through 12 years to be in the wilderness, I'm going, man, where was that association? Because that association picked you up on the 28th and had gone through with you through the loss and everything.
But
what right would have happened? And I think everyone's got their journey, yeah. But but I go back. Association does an enormous thing. It saves lives, and this is what I tell my kids all the time. Do you know? I don't want you to not make mistakes, but I want you to avoid silly mistakes that I can share with you, so that you can use the rest of your life to make new mistakes.
Yeah.
Sometimes, Cacho and I are similar age and been in real estate for exactly the same amount of time. We both started at the same time, and I haven't been through what Hutcho been through, but stories are similar in that I reckon I wasted a good 10 or 12 years too. And you can't, when you're in that,
Wasted it, Cam?
when you're in that spiral, it's a similar thing, mate. Same story, partying and carrying on and getting into trouble and going nowhere. I didn't start real estate till I was 33 and a lot, right? And before that, I'd tried to make a go of it, but I probably didn't come good till I was 28 or 29 as far as working out that I had to actually try and do something in my life. And the scary part about that was my son was already 4 years old, right? So there was no association.
Yeah.
You thought your mates were your mates. You didn't know to go out and seek wiser people.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Tia. Like you can't just click your fingers and have association, right? So,
Yeah.
so when you're in the spiral, where do you find? And I'm not saying you can click your fingers and have association. I'm not saying you're saying that, but how do you stop that 12 years from happening? Because you find people when you're ready, right?
You know what? I sometimes I think that stopping that. I'm a big believer in sometimes you've got to be lost to be found, and sometimes you've got to go to the wilderness and you've got to get to the point where you actually don't know anything anymore.
I don't agree with that shit. No, that is to me, that is a logic to justify your own way. I don't believe that sometimes you have to be lost. I think that you're never lost. I think that you have to ask yourself, have I given it my best?
Yeah, but sometimes
we never lost. We never lost.
I don't regret the 12 years, but I also don't.
We actually go from one map to another map. We never lost. Yeah. The map that we use actually served us.
Okay.
Yeah, we just grab.
I don't regret the 12 years, but would I want my
You're talking like the 12 years of slave, the movie.
No, I don't regret it, but but here's the thing. I don't regret
the things that you've done in that time.
I don't regret it because it's made me who I am today, and I've got a lot of good stories, and that's why I laughed when Hutcho said bad decisions lead to great stories. I've got every story, but I would not want any of my kids to go through the same thing.
Chris, I think that we've got a subject for next week, which is divorce versus non-divorce.
Oh.
No, that's nothing to do with divorce.
That would be a very good thing, because I'm starting to see the quitting has been hijacked from the quitting of our job into kind of relationship. It's okay.
No, we were talking about Hutcho and he lost 10 years.
Look,
you were saying if you were there in 2020, you could have fixed it, mate. And I'm saying Hutcho didn't have you, and I didn't have anyone like you. I had people who were enabling what I was doing, right? I had people selling it to me and buying it for me and encouraging everything that went along with it. So all I'm saying is it's very easy to say, well, if I was around then, I would have fixed it like that. You probably would have, but you don't go seeking people in those moments.
Yeah.
Because you don't know any better.
That's right.
Especially at that age. And I get going, oh, look, I'm glad it happened as a cop-out. I get that because it excuses all your behaviour for that decade, right? But and I'm sincere because I love the stories I tell. I wouldn't wish it on my kids. I wouldn't wish it on anyone that I loved. And if I had my way again, would I rather, on a very vain level, gotten into real estate at 20 and not 33 and already be set up for the rest of my life without having to go through all that struggle? Fucking 100%. Anyone tells you they would have rather not.
But the problem with a lot of these things is people only try to understand what they try to understand. And people only seek to get other people to understand them rather than to understand others. You know, we're getting to the end of this thing here now. And I know before the podcast, you said to me, Thomas, you said 10 o'clock, that's when you start getting serious. But around 1 o'clock today, I found out that my father's got COVID.
Mm.
And it's so bad that he's in hospital now. And his lungs been affected. And so they keeping him in the emergency. So sometimes we talk about things and we go very short term because it fits us. As I was speaking with you guys, I've been in contact, obviously, with Belgium, going back and forth about where he's at. And I still had to deal with stuff like, people wanting things to be done. They had Wiseby Online that had to do some things for them. And what I'm trying to say is we still have podcasts. We still have things to do. We don't quit. We have an agenda. We have things to do. We still have to do it. Even though part of me has been entertaining, maybe I should take a flight home a few weeks ago because. And I think you never quit. I think Dad would never want me to quit on what we're doing here. So I think the subject is a good one. You don't quit on what you're doing. If one wisdom and what we're trying to share with people, the same thing as with a job or we keep on. So I get it. I'm not here to judge whether we should quit work or we should quit. But there's always a line that I try and teach my kids. First, you do your duty. Then you do the things you want to be doing. And to me, there is no time for quitting. Because as we're speaking here now, I have been in contact with my sisters. Dad's in the hospital now, so he's got a bad infection now starting to hit his lung. We're hoping it's not going to hit his lung. Being someone with a heart issue, it's pretty bad. But now we're thinking about Mom. What happened to her? What happens to her if she gets it? What happens to her if she's alone tomorrow? So I think when it comes to talking about the quitting, I'm really about all this. You have a life, you have a job, you have things that you are involved with, you have things you're committed to. And even if your mates are making fun of you in the beginning about why you're like this and why you keep the job going. You have to keep your focus. Because Dad would not want me to have him as an excuse for not doing my job. And so I think that this is how I would like to close this subject about quitting, is that I see so many people who use family issues or what happens to them about quitting. Dad would never want me to quit because something's happened to him. You must keep on doing your duty. Now let's go back to our wine.
Fuck.
I'm gonna drink
All right.
it. It was all fake. I haven't won. It was all set up.
So our wine this week, the winner is, I'm not going to start with the winner. I'm going to start with Cam because Cam is in the mindset that things are going really bad for him and he's thinking about quitting right now or giving up. Or maybe he won't be giving up, in which case, Lou, you right? Cam, you score 4.4. Chris, your wine scored 4.5.
Wow, Chris.
Thomas, Your wine score 4.6.
I've definitely lost.
And Lou, your wine this week is 4.0. April Fool's Day, I thought I just wanted to make sure I get.
I didn't think of April Fools, but at least we got Cam woke up.
I thought I'd get Cam down for at least an hour and a half with something.
See, and all his true colours came out, and he
No.
was under the bus, and he thought I was cheating.
So no, it was like, oh, and you lied, and you this. Do you know how all of this? It was fantastic to see all of this reaction. But you know what, Lou? I set him up from this morning because I got the results early. Because we're doing it on Friday, right? When and so it was fantastic for me to see how he was actually worked up for the session, and he was ready for the session, right? This is why he started the session the way he did. So here's the thing, Chris, you're safe. You and I, we are safe for next week.
Garage wine next week.
Yeah. And now next week is going to be between Lou and Ken.
Why? Lou's come last twice, and I've only had one.
No, you. It doesn't matter. It's still between you and Ken, because.
Because if you lose next week, it's a draw, and then we have to go to a 5th round.
Yes, that's right. So Chris and I can still determine how the outcome is going to be next week. All right. Anyway, guys, I think that when it comes to about time on quitting and everything, I was working on a subject about giving up and quitting, and I've seen my brother with leukemia, and you never quit. If you never quit about life, do you know that the funny thing is when someone's about to die, the only thing that they fight for is one more day of being here. They give it everything. They never quit. And the number of times I've seen people who've got so much to live forward, but they, because of one failure at work or one issue, they're thinking about leaving in even life. I find it funny.
Look, I know, Thomas. I'm very sorry for your dad, and I love you like a brother, but it's okay to quit. You know when it's okay to quit? Fucking ironing. Ironing is the worst thing. Trying to iron a fucking business shirt when you're already late for work in the morning might be the worst thing in the world. I tried to have a fight with an iron the other day, and my wife from the kitchen goes, "Oh, real tough, shaping up to an iron." I quit. I quit ironing my shirts. Call me a quitter, call me whatever you want. But there are times where it's okay to quit. Ironing's one of them. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's it, guys. What about you, Lou? Why don't you just, Chris, let's go to you
Don't
first.
let Lou wrap it up. Mate.
I'll let Lou wrap it up, man.
No, don't let Lou wrap it up. It's already 6:30.
So, Chris, what's your thoughts?
Friday
I
night, the footy's on.
think quitting is appropriate in the right situation. I mean, if you've done everything you can and really given it a red hot crack and still can't get there, maybe you need to look at yourself and reassess things. So yes, I think in the right situation, quitting is a thing you need to do in the right situation.
Only in ironing. Apart from that, you're a pussy. I don't think quitting's okay, except
in 50 words
Lou,
or
why
less.
don't you just close the session?
Okay. I think there's a big difference between quitting and giving up. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people, I think...
no difference.
Don't count me out, guys. Seriously.
We've been counted.
We're not counting you. We're not
Like this, I can't think straight and have a serious conversation.
Lou, don't pay attention to them.
Don't quit, mate. Don't quit. Don't give up. Don't quit or give up.
No, on a serious note, though, I like, honestly, fuck Chris. I want to say that I think it's important for people to really understand that if whether you see it as giving up or quitting or whichever.
We can't finish a podcast on something that makes no sense. Quitting and giving up are the same. Don't do it. The end.
Oh my God. Okay, let me finish with this then. I'm going to finish with something else then. Thomas, I'm really, really sorry to hear about your dad, and I really hope and pray for the best, and I hope he pulls through. I'm trying to be really serious here, but I think
I'm sorry. It was Chris' fault.
it's Chris' fault.
Chris,
No.
don't you quit, mate. Leave it to Louise, man.
No, I think it's okay that
I give up.
certain circumstances that whether you look at it as quitting or giving up or failing, I think that's the point that I'm trying to make. If you're doing something out of the goodness of your heart and you're following your passion and your true path, you can never look at it as giving up, quitting, or failing. I think at any point where you get to a realization in life where you feel like you're not living your best life, then you must step forward into a different path to live your best life. And whether we call it quitting, giving up, failing, or whatever label that is attached or tag that gets attached to people making those decisions, I think that's important that people understand that it's okay to follow your dreams and it's okay to do something that necessarily other people don't agree with. It's okay to, perhaps in instances like now, I know what you're saying, Thomas, we have to do what we've got to do before we do what we want to do. But I think in my situation, I don't know, like I would want to just get on a plane and go see my family. I don't know, like, what do you got to do as opposed to do what you want to do? Like, what do you, I don't want to be disrespectful, but I think if it was me, do you just get on a plane and go? Because
You're talking about my stuff. No. But that's not closing the issue.
I know, but I'm saying, like, but this is the thing. If we're talking about that though, like,
All right, let's close. Two people here think quitting's not okay. One thinks quitting is okay, and one think quitting and giving up are completely different things.
no,
Sorry, we haven't solved any problems for you today, ladies and gentlemen. We love you all.
I know, it's
Love
that.
you.
No, Ken, you're hijacking. All right, you can't hijack. I think that as much as the two of you boys keep on giving Lou a lot of shit, I have asked for Lou to close. She hasn't finished. Let her close.
What I was saying, I think it's okay to do whatever you feel is right. And if other people don't agree with what you're doing, then that's also okay, because you've got to do what's right for you. And I think too many people do what they think other people want them to do or what other people think they should do. And I think it takes great courage and strength to follow your dreams, because a lot of people do what they're told to do or what they think they should be doing because that's what other people want them to do. And I think it's okay. And I think the message that we need to send, it's yes, in certain circumstances or relationships, careers, work, whatever, it's okay to, it's how you look at it, whether it's okay to quit or not to quit. I think what's important is that you follow your true passion and dreams. And I think that's the point I'm trying to say.
Very, very nice. Guys, there's no meeting after this. I'm not really going to entertain it. So thank you very much for this week. Talk soon. See you next week.
Have a good night, you guys. Talk soon. Bye.